Not every woman who walks into your life brings love and support. Some help you grow, push you to become a better man. But others, they quietly destroy you, not with harsh words, but with fake sweetness, calculated glances, and a perfectly timed smile. They don't break you loudly. They drain you silently. You slowly lose focus, lose confidence, and eventually lose the peace within yourself. The scary part is you don't see it coming. Because low-value women don't always reveal themselves right away. They're not just not the one. They're the kind who can wreck you if you're not awake to it. Here's the truth. Don't waste your time, energy, or loyalty on chaos disguised as charm. A mature man knows how to choose the right partner. He doesn't sacrifice himself for someone who only looks good on the outside. In this video, I'll break down 6 clear signs that help you spot toxic women, so you can walk away before things spiral out of control. Don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned for more real talk, so you don't fall for sweet traps in disguise, brother. Let's go. Sign number 1. She's addicted to chaos and drama. Peace scares her. There are women who make you feel like every day with them is an emotional battleground. They can't stand stillness. To them, peace doesn't feel safe. It feels empty. And to fill that emptiness, they create chaos. You'll notice arguments flare up out of, well, nothing really. An offhand comment, a vague look, a harmless joke. Any of it can be twisted into a reason for a long, drawn-out fight. Not because you did anything wrong, but because she needs that tension to feel alive. The dangerous part? She doesn't just start the chaos, she enjoys it. If you try to calm things down, she'll pull away, just to see if you'll chase her. If you stay silent, she'll provoke you. If you reach out to reconnect, she'll push you away. And then she'll turn around and say, you don't care enough. With women like this, love isn't about companionship. It's an emotional power game. They want you constantly on edge, second-guessing yourself. They make you tiptoe, speak softly, afraid to say or do the wrong thing. Not because you're weak, but because you've gotten used to living in fear just to keep the peace. And the worst part, they justify it with things like, I just like a little drama to keep things interesting. You're too calm, there's no spark. But here's the truth. Passion isn't chaos. A healthy relationship doesn't need emotional tug-of-war to survive. A mature woman chooses peace over mind games. She values real connection, not manipulation to feel wanted. If you're in a relationship that leaves you emotionally drained, constantly doubting yourself, or pretending just to avoid conflict, be honest with yourself. That's not love. That's emotional dependence. And you don't have to play that game. You're allowed to walk away. Maybe she'll panic and chase you. Maybe she'll blame you and disappear. Either way, you win because you chose peace, and peace isn't something to fight for. Peace is something you choose by choosing the right person. Sign number 2, addicted to validation and attention. When love just isn't enough for her, there are women who, no matter how deeply you love them, no matter how much of your heart you give, still feel like it's never enough. And it's not because you don't care. It's because what she craves isn't love. It's recognition from everyone else. You could be right there by her side, complimenting her, supporting her, showing up for her in every way. Yet somehow you still feel invisible. Because it's not your attention she needs, it's the world's. You'll see it most clearly on social media. Every photo is carefully curated. Every caption is crafted to feel mysterious, irresistible, or to spark curiosity. It's not about preserving memories. It's about drawing eyes, likes, and praise. And when you start to feel uncomfortable, when you express how you feel, she hits back with lines like, "Are you jealous? It's just a picture. You're overreacting. You don't trust me? I can't control if people compliment me." But deep down, you know she's not sharing her life. She's performing. A part of her lives for that external validation. From strangers, from guys she doesn't even really care about, from followers who don't know her. And you, even as her partner, her supposed teammate, become just a small part of the spotlight-driven world she's built. The danger is this: little by little, you start feeling like you're not enough, not attractive enough, not man enough, simply because you can't satisfy her endless hunger for attention. You stay quiet to avoid arguments. You give in. You sacrifice your self-respect just to keep the peace. But here's a truth you need to face clearly and calmly. If a woman constantly needs outside attention to feel valuable, she'll never truly appreciate what she already has, including you. A mature woman doesn't measure her worth by compliments. She knows the difference between sharing and showing off, between real connection and putting on a show. She doesn't need the whole world to validate her. She just needs to see trust in the eyes of the man she respects. If you're in a relationship where you feel like you're competing with Instagram, where you're constantly made to feel like the jealous one or the insecure guy just for speaking up, maybe the issue isn't you. Maybe it's the emptiness she's trying to fill with attention. Real love doesn't need a stage. Real love is about presence, not performance. And you have every right to choose someone who understands the value of real connection. Someone who doesn't need 100 compliments from strangers to feel enough. Just one look of trust from you to feel whole. Sign number 3, lack of accountability and blame shifting. When you're carrying the weight of things that aren't even yours, there's a certain type of person in relationships. When everything's going well, they seem capable, confident, and reasonable. But the moment there's a mistake, a failure, or conflict, they never take responsibility. She always has an excuse. I only reacted that way because of you. I didn't want to, but the situation forced me. Other people do this too. It's not just me, MTs. And slowly, without you even realizing it, every problem in her life somehow starts pointing back to you. She's sad because of you. She's stuck because you don't support her enough. She failed because you didn't help enough. She snaps because you're emotionally distant. She acts impulsively because you're too controlling. Bit by bit, you become the bad guy in her story, even when you're just doing your best to love, support, be patient, and keep the peace. Yet all you get in return is a list of accusations for things you never intentionally did. At first, you fight back. That's not fair. But over time, you get tired. You stop speaking up, afraid you'll hurt her feelings. You stop defending yourself, afraid she'll give you the silent treatment. You stop being yourself because you're constantly scared of messing up. And so you start carrying emotional burdens that were never yours to begin with. You apologize for her feelings. You take responsibility for her decisions. You accept blame just to keep the peace. Eventually, you can't even tell the difference between what's truly your fault and what guilt has been planted in your head. A woman who refuses to take responsibility often uses emotional manipulation. She might burst into tears the second you say something honest. She might go completely silent to make you feel guilty. She might flip the script so fast you start thinking you caused all the problems. But remember this, loving someone doesn't mean carrying all their emotional baggage. You are not responsible for untangling someone who keeps tying their own knots. A truly mature person reflects on themselves. They own their choices, manage their emotions, and aren't afraid to say, "I'm sorry" when they're wrong. They don't need to find a scapegoat. They want a partner to work through life with, not against. So if you're in a relationship where you're always the one at fault, always the one who needs fixing, always the reason she's unhappy, pause and ask yourself, is this fair? Am I in love or being emotionally manipulated? Am I still myself or just a shadow of guilt and self-doubt? Real love means shared responsibility, shared growth, shared mistakes. Not one person carrying everything while the other constantly points fingers and lets go. If you've ever been in a relationship like that, you're not alone. But don't let yourself live under a cloud of guilt for the rest of your life, especially when that guilt was never truly yours. You deserve a love that feels light on your heart, not something that weighs you down every single day. Sign number 4, emotional manipulation. When love becomes a psychological game. There's a kind of relationship where you feel like you have to watch every word, every move. Not because you're afraid of upsetting them, but because you're afraid of their silent reactions. She doesn't yell. She doesn't explode in jealousy. She doesn't even have to say anything harsh. Just one sad look, a long stretch of silence, a vague coldness that you can't quite explain. And suddenly, you're wondering, Did I say something wrong yesterday? Was I not caring enough? Should I apologize, even if I don't know why? And before you know it, you're adjusting your behavior without anyone asking you to. That is emotional manipulation. No yelling, no threats, no violence, just quiet, negative emotions used in a way that makes you feel guilty, anxious, and like you need to change. It's not what's said, it's what's not said. It's the perfectly timed withdrawal, the distant coldness, the sadness that's never explained. Because you love her, you're scared to lose her. Because you care, you compromise. But what you don't realize is you're not nurturing a healthy relationship. You're being controlled. Little by little, your personal boundaries start to blur. You stop saying what you think. You hold back how you feel. You avoid disagreeing, avoid complaining, avoid being yourself because you're afraid of her silence, her coldness, or worse, her disappearing emotionally. You're no longer living truthfully. You're just trying to keep the peace. You speak softer. You smile more even when you're carrying a storm inside. You cater to her emotions, while yours quietly disappear from the equation. Here's the hard truth. Emotional manipulators rarely do anything clearly wrong, but they constantly make you feel like you're in the wrong, and they don't stop until you've changed into someone who fits their mold, even if that version isn't the real you. Love should never be a place where you have to constantly brace yourself to avoid upsetting someone. It shouldn't be a space where only one person gets to have feelings, while the other is left responsible for managing them all. You should be able to say, "I'm tired today. I don't agree with that. I need some time for myself." You deserve the freedom to feel, to think, and to be without fearing emotional punishment in the form of coldness or silence. If you're in a relationship where every time you show your true self, you're met with sad looks, withdrawal, or quiet disapproval, you're probably not being loved. You're being controlled. Emotional manipulation isn't loud, but it's powerful. It makes you lose yourself without even realizing it. It locks you in an invisible prison called, "I'm afraid of making her upset." Please remember, real love is a place of healing, not a place where you have to walk on eggshells. True love doesn't make you anxious. It makes you feel at peace. If you see yourself in these words, maybe it's time to ask, am I really in love, or am I being emotionally controlled? You deserve the kind of love where both people get to be fully themselves, walking side by side. Not one person constantly trying to please, and the other holding the strings. Sign number 5, lack of long-term vision when you're the only one steering the ship called us. In love, we all want a partner, not just someone to hang out with, eat good food, and have fun with, but someone who shares goals, pushes through challenges with you, and actually builds a future together. But what happens when you're the only one with a clear direction in life and the person you're with just lives on a "we'll see what happens" basis? She has no real plans for the future. She doesn't know where she wants to live in 5 years, what career she's aiming for, whether she wants to get married, or even if she cares about building financial stability. She changes jobs constantly because, "I didn't like my boss. My coworkers were annoying. The pay was too low." She spends impulsively, shops based on emotion, and doesn't think about saving or future responsibilities. No financial goals, no long-term thinking, just living day by day. When things get tough, she doesn't try to work through them. Instead, she blames her upbringing. "If my parents were better off, I wouldn't be like this." Society. These days, who even plans anymore? Surviving is enough. "I feel lost because you're always too busy." Worse still, if you have goals, she might try to hold you back. "You want to save and invest?" She says, "What is the point of living if you're always calculating?" "You want to level up your career with new skills?" She complains, "All you care about is work. What about me?" "You want to settle down and start building a family?" She shrugs. "Let's just go with the flow. Why stress about it?" And slowly you realize you're carrying the weight for both of you, taking on the responsibilities she avoids, creating a future plan she doesn't have, stressing over life, finances, and growth for two people, not just one. You're no longer a partner. You've become the one carrying the load. But love shouldn't be the game of who's stronger takes care of everything. And it definitely shouldn't feel like dragging someone who has no intention of walking beside you, yet won't let you move forward alone either. Being with someone who lacks long-term vision is exhausting. Not because they're fun, but because they're not ready to build anything real with you. Someone who doesn't know what they want won't help you get where you're going. Someone who avoids responsibility will slowly drain your energy, your finances, and your faith in the relationship. So if you're with someone like this, ask yourself, am I walking with a partner or carrying an overgrown child? Am I building a future or constantly stepping back for someone who never seems ready? Yes, love needs emotion, but it also needs direction, responsibility, and growth. Because someone who doesn't even know what they want will never truly understand what you're worth. Love someone who wants to go far with you, not someone who holds you back because they don't even know where they're going. Sign number 6, when the woman you're with competes with your masculinity. You're a man. You were born to take action, to lead, to protect, to build. But in this relationship, you're not allowed to be a man because every time you try to lead, she says things like, "Are you trying to control me? Why do you talk like I'm your employee? You don't care about my feelings at all." Anytime you're assertive or try to provide direction, it's misunderstood as being controlling. Anytime you set clear boundaries or speak from your values, it's labeled as toxic. You suggest, "Let's eat at this place tonight. I made a reservation." She reacts, "Why do you always get to decide everything? Don't I have a voice?" You say honestly, "I'm not comfortable with you texting your ex." She fires back, "You're jealous and controlling." You tell her, "I need some quiet time after work." She snaps, "You're always putting yourself first, selfish and emotionally unavailable." But the problem here isn't that you're wrong. The problem is she doesn't accept you being you, a man with value, with direction, with boundaries. Maybe she's been hurt before by a man who really was controlling or manipulative. But now she sees any healthy expression of masculinity as a red flag. Everything you do becomes a threat, and slowly you start shrinking yourself just to keep the peace. You soften when you don't want to. You stay quiet when you know you're not wrong. You say yes just to avoid a fight. You give up your natural leadership because otherwise you're accused of being old-fashioned. You stop being you. You become a safe version of yourself that she can accept, but you're not happy in it. Real love isn't a gender war. Men are not the enemy of women. Masculinity isn't the problem. Leadership isn't the same as control. Setting boundaries isn't toxic. A mature, emotionally intelligent woman will respect your masculinity. She'll let you lead when it's needed. She'll work with you, not against you. She won't compete with you. She'll walk beside you. She won't tear down your role. She'll recognize what you bring to the table. But if she constantly fights everything you stand for, then no matter how much you try, that relationship will never be balanced. A man cannot grow in a relationship where he has to constantly ask permission just to be himself. Love should be a place where you can expand, not where you're forced to shrink. It should be a partnership, not a power struggle. And if you have to give up who you are just to keep the relationship going, then that's not love. That's self-sacrifice. And sometimes that sacrifice just isn't worth it. If your relationship is filled with negativity, like constant chaos, unexplainable conflicts, or emotional exhaustion, then that's not real love. Love should never be the place that drains you or takes away your inner peace. A mature and wise man knows how to choose peace, clarity, and genuine companionship from his partner, instead of settling for dramatic games or fake intensity disguised as passion. True peace and love is the solid foundation you need to grow as a person and to build a future together. Don't let negative emotions take control. Know when to walk away and choose what's truly best for yourself. If you found value in today's lesson, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and share to spread this life wisdom to more people out there. Leave your thoughts in the comments below, because every experience holds a lesson. This is Sage Life Lessons, where we learn together how to live wisely and stand strong in a chaotic world.